What could the FBI possibly be hiding in Whoopi Goldberg's mansion? The very idea seems impossible. Whoopi, a beloved icon in Hollywood, suddenly thrust into the center of a federal investigation. The discovery made inside her mansion has left everyone from her closest fans to the media in absolute shock. Even veteran agents were reportedly stunned by what they uncovered. But why did they raid the home of the legendary actress? And more importantly, what is being hidden behind those closed doors? The FBI's investigation has just started, and the evidence they found may very well change everything we thought we knew about Whoopi Goldberg. Question now is, what is really going on? It was an ordinary morning, or so it seemed, in the peaceful neighborhood where Whoopi Goldberg's mansion stood. The dawn had barely begun to break, the streets still blanketed in the silence of early morning. The air was crisp, the trees were still, and the faint sound of leaves brushing against the pavement could be heard. It was the kind of tranquility that one might expect in a wealthy neighborhood, a scene of calm and order. But all of that would soon be shattered. At exactly 5 a.m., a convoy of black SUVs devoid of license plates suddenly appeared on the quiet street. The vehicles moved slowly but powerfully, their engines roaring in the stillness, announcing their arrival before they could even be seen. Neighbors, mostly still asleep, were jolted awake by the sound. The few who were up, elderly residents on their early morning walks, paused, watching as men in black suits and bulletproof vests stepped out of the vehicles. The agents' faces were expressionless, hidden behind dark sunglasses, their movements quick and efficient as they surrounded Whoopi's mansion. This was not a casual visit. This was an FBI raid. The sound of heavy knocking echoed down the street. Bang, 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 like thunder in the morning mist. Inside the mansion, someone stirred. Lights flickered on from an upstairs window. And then, moments later, the large wooden door creaked open. There stood Whoopi Goldberg, the woman whose name is known across the United States, a figure who had seen the highest highs and lowest lows of Hollywood. Yet this, an early morning raid by federal agents, was something even she had never experienced. Despite the chaos, Whoopi maintained her signature composure. Dressed in a light gray robe, her hair falling naturally over her shoulders, she looked calm, though clearly surprised. Her sharp eyes scanned the group of agents standing at her door. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice calm but cutting. One of the agents stepped forward, flashing an FBI badge. Without wasting time, he pulled a file from his black briefcase. "We have a search warrant. This is a federal investigation." The words hung in the air like an explosive revelation. A bomb had just been dropped in the midst of Hollywood royalty. Whoopi stood still, her eyes widening slightly, but her expression remained controlled. She was known for her wit, her humor, and her ability to keep her cool in tense situations, but this was unlike anything she had faced before. She stepped aside, allowing the agents to enter, knowing that resistance was futile. The FBI does not come knocking on your door at 5 a.m. without a very serious reason. As the agents moved in, neighbors began to gather outside, peeking out of windows, huddling together on their porches, trying to figure out what was happening. Whoopi Goldberg, one of the most famous actresses in the world, was suddenly the subject of an FBI investigation. The whispers began almost immediately. "Why would they raid her house?" one neighbor asked. "She's a big star." "What could she possibly be involved in?" another replied, shaking her head in disbelief. Meanwhile, local reporters caught wind of the incident and quickly rushed to the scene. They raised their cameras high, trying to catch a glimpse of the action inside the mansion. News vans arrived, and within minutes, the quiet, sleepy street had become the center of a media storm. Inside the mansion, the atmosphere was tense. FBI agents moved swiftly, splitting into teams, each assigned to a different part of the house. Every room was searched with precision and detail. Drawers were opened, bookshelves were scanned, and no corner was left untouched. It was clear they were looking for something specific, though no one, not even Whoopi, seemed to know exactly what. Whoopi stood in the middle of her lavish living room, her arms crossed as she watched the agents go through her personal belongings. Her expression was unreadable, though there was a flicker of something, perhaps curiosity, perhaps concern, in her eyes. She knew the FBI wouldn't raid her home without cause, but what could they be after? And more importantly, why had they targeted her? An agent approached her, his face unreadable as he offered a professional suggestion. "Would you like us to call your lawyer?" Whoopi took a deep breath, her composure intact despite the chaos around her. She nodded slowly. "I think that's the right thing to do." From room to room, the agents worked quickly and quietly. They searched her library, filled with scripts, contracts, and personal letters, many dating back decades. They combed through her kitchen, her office, and even her bedroom. But as the hours dragged on, the tension in the air only thickened. What were they looking for? What could possibly be hidden in Whoopi Goldberg's mansion? As the agents moved deeper into the house, one team made their way to the basement, a part of the mansion that had likely not seen much use in years. Dust clung to the shelves and old boxes were stacked in the corners, untouched for ages. But the agents were thorough, leaving no stone unturned. It was there, in the farthest corner of the basement, that one agent stumbled upon something peculiar, a metal box, half hidden behind a pile of dusty belongings. The box was locked, its surface worn from age, with no sign of recent tampering. The agent called out to his team, and within moments the entire FBI task force had gathered around the box. The air was thick with anticipation. Whoopi, who had remained upstairs, now appeared at the top of the basement stairs, watching the scene unfold. Her brow furrowed in confusion as she saw the agents pulling the box from the shadows. "I've never seen that box before," she said quietly, her voice laced with uncertainty. The agents exchanged glances but said nothing. The box was sealed and carefully taken outside, where it was placed into a specialized vehicle. Whatever was inside, it wasn't something they were willing to open on the spot. Crowd outside grew larger as word spread that the FBI had found something. Reporters strained to see what was going on, their cameras flashing as the agents emerged from the house. But no one knew what had just been discovered, only that it was enough to warrant further investigation. Within hours, the news of the FBI raid had spread like wildfire. Headlines splashed across newspapers and websites. "FBI raids Whoopi Goldberg's mansion. What are they looking for?" Public was stunned. How could someone like Whoopi, a beloved actress and television personality, be at the center of a federal investigation? Social media platforms like Twitter and Reddit lit up with theories and speculation. Some users believed that the raid must be related to financial crimes. After all, many celebrities had been caught up in tax scandals in recent years. Others suggested that it might be something far more sinister, perhaps related to Hollywood's darker secrets. And then, of course, there were the conspiracy theories. Some claimed that the FBI had been watching Whoopi for months, monitoring her movements, waiting for the right moment to strike. Others believed that this was part of a larger, more intricate plot, perhaps even a politically motivated attack against one of the entertainment industry's most outspoken voices. Meanwhile, late-night talk show hosts couldn't resist commenting on the situation. Jimmy Kimmel joked, "I always knew Whoopi was hiding something. Turns out it's just a dusty old box in the basement." Stephen Colbert quipped, "Who knew the FBI was so into Hollywood memorabilia?" But beneath the humor, there was a serious undertone. Whoopi Goldberg's reputation was on the line. And with the FBI remaining tight-lipped about what they had found, the world was left to wonder, what could be in that box? Just when it seemed like the story couldn't get any stranger, new details began to emerge. According to inside sources, the FBI had uncovered something even more shocking during their raid: a secret room. Hidden behind a wall in Whoopi's office, this room had not been on the original blueprints of the house. The agents had found the hidden room after noticing an almost invisible groove along the base of the wall. First, it seemed like a decorative detail. But when one of the agents touched it, a clicking sound echoed through the room, and a small door slowly slid open. Inside the secret room, the air was thick with dust, as though it had not been disturbed in years. The room was small, windowless, and filled with shelves stacked with old boxes. In the center of the room was a table, and on that table were several items that caught the agent's attention. There were metal boxes, much like the one found in the basement, each one sealed and neatly stacked in the corner. The agents opened the first box carefully. Inside, they found a collection of old documents, some marked confidential, along with handwritten letters. Some of these letters were yellowed with age, but their contents were still intact. The agents scanned the papers, their faces growing more serious with each passing moment. Among the letters, one name kept appearing: Howard L. Emerson. Most people wouldn't recognize this name, but to those in investigative circles, it was a major clue. Emerson had been a powerful Hollywood producer in the 1970s and 1980s, known for working on some of the biggest films of the era. But in the mid-1990s, he had mysteriously disappeared from the public eye, just as a major financial scandal was about to break. The letters between Whoopi and Emerson were cryptic, hinting at secrets that had been kept hidden for decades. One letter, dated 1993, contained a chilling line: "I know what happened that night. If the truth comes out, we're all in trouble." Another letter, written a few months later, said, "They won't find anything. Just stay quiet." The discovery of these letters suggested that the FBI's investigation wasn't just about Whoopi Goldberg. It could be tied to something much larger, a scandal that had been buried deep within Hollywood's history. But the most shocking discovery was still to come. Inside one of the boxes was an old VHS tape, worn and labeled with the words, "Do not watch. Private." Tape looked as though it hadn't been touched in years, maybe even decades. The agents immediately took it to the lab to analyze its contents. What could be on that tape? Was it an old home movie, or did it contain something far more explosive? In the days following the raid, as speculation mounted and the media frenzy reached new heights, Whoopi Goldberg remained mostly silent. But then, in a special televised interview, she finally broke her silence. Sitting across from the host on one of America's most watched television shows, Whoopi looked calm, though there was a flicker of something, perhaps anger, behind her eyes. "Listen," she began, her voice steady. "I woke up one morning with the FBI in my living room. If you think that's a fun way to start your day, you're very wrong." The audience laughed, but Whoopi's expression remained serious. When asked about the raid and the mysterious documents, she smiled slightly. "They found some old letters, some movie scripts, and apparently a bunch of history books. I guess I should have warned them that I'm a collector," she said, shrugging. But when the host pressed her on the significance of the secret room, Whoopi explained, "I've always been fascinated by Hollywood history, especially the parts people tend to forget. That room was just my little collection of things I found interesting over the years." She went on to downplay the significance of the letters exchanged with Howard Emerson, explaining that they had been discussing film projects that never came to fruition. "We talked about movies that never got made, stories that were too controversial for their time. That's it. No conspiracy, no crime. Just two people who love cinema." However, the interview took a more cryptic turn when the host asked if she believed the raid was part of a larger conspiracy to discredit her. Whoopi paused, her eyes narrowing slightly as she considered the question. "Let's just say Hollywood is full of surprises," she said with a wry smile. "Some people don't like it when you ask too many questions." That single statement ignited a fresh wave of speculation. Was Whoopi hinting at something more? Could there be a deeper conspiracy at play? Whoopi's words may have quelled some of the rumors, but the mystery was far from over. The FBI had yet to release the contents of the VHS tape or disclose what was in the metal box they had taken from the mansion. And with every passing day, the questions only grew louder. What could be on that tape? Was it just an old, forgotten movie? Or did it contain something that could change everything we thought we knew about Whoopi Goldberg? Truth remained elusive, hidden behind layers of secrecy and speculation. One thing was certain, the investigation was far from over. The FBI had found something in Whoopi Goldberg's mansion, something that had shaken even the most seasoned agents. And as the public continued to wait for answers, the world couldn't help but wonder, what will the FBI find next?